Hello my lovely friends, welcome back to the Crafty Cupboard. My name's Leanne and today I'm working in my field notes journal. Our prompt given for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery this time was summer wildflowers. I've chosen native indigo or Australian indigo, a plant that we planted for my mum in honour of her 2 years ago on Mother's Day. So I hope you'll enjoy watching me stitch, draw and include cuttings of the native indigo in my field notes journal today. Let's get into some ribbon embroidery to make the indigo flowers. So I'm starting at the base of the stem where the petals have already fully opened. So this is an indigo flower in full bloom, fully open. And I'm just using 3 stitches of ribbon to form the shape. This is a side-on flower. I like using my finger, pens, the needle, whatever it takes to get the ribbon to lay exactly how I'd like it to. I think that's something a bit different to when you thread embroidering, that with the ribbon you take that time to get it to lay how you need it to, so that it's not all twisted, etc. So this is what we call ribbon stitch, and it's like a straight stitch, except that you bring the point of the needle back down through the ribbon at the top, and it gives a lovely nice point to the end of the shape. So you just bring the thread up, the ribbon up, lay it how you'd like, and then stab the end of the ribbon, bringing your needle through. You have to be careful not to pull too tight or you just pull it through. But this, as I mentioned, gives a lovely sort of point at the end there. I love working with ribbon. It's so pretty and it's such an effective result in such a short period of time, and a lovely sort of 3D-ness to it as well. You know, it sits more puffed out than thread embroidery does. You'll notice the colour variation here too. That's something that's also very nice when you work with a variegated ribbon. So this one's been dyed darker in places and lighter in others. And so you just think about where you want the colours to go. And this ribbon I cut deliberately and knotted at the dark end so that the base of the stem of flowers is darker. And if you look at the plant itself, as you go further up the stem and the flower buds are tinier and tinier, they're also paler in colour. And so I just made sure that the ribbon I used was cut and tied and used in a way to replicate that effect. Okay, to end off, I am just going through another thread. This is a risky move, you have to be careful, because you could pull it too tight and ruin your work on the front. You can also just anchor down the ends of your ribbon with another thread, or if you have enough, you can tie a knot as well. I don't mind tying knots, some people are anti-knots. A fly stitch creates the base where the petal joins the stem. And the rest of the stem I've just been stem stitching. Today I'm actually using a thread I bought secondhand that's designed for sewing on buttons. And I wanted to use it because it sort of seemed to have the right thickness and the sheen that was an appropriate look for the stems of this flower. But it actually is a little bit coarse and thick, and therefore a little difficult to work with. But I've come this far, so I'm going to carry on. So again, just another fly stitch to join the flower petal to the stem. So back to my stem stitching. I'm actually doing a stab version here, where you stab it in and out. I'm just finding it a little bit easier to sort of get it pulled tightly compared to that fluid motion of in and out in one go that you would normally do for stem stitch. Okay, now to thicken up the stems, they weren't quite thick enough for the look that I wanted, so now I'm just whipping my thread. So whipping, you don't actually sort of take a stitch, you're just feeding the thread under the stitches that are already there as you work your way down. And there we have it. Okay, now this, look here, I've got a really short piece of ribbon that I want to use just to do one petal. Not enough room to tie a knot or anything with. So I'm just carefully laying a straight stitch down. So straight stitch is just like a normal straight stitch. You don't poke it through the ribbon or anything. And just get it to lay how I'd like it to. And then on the back, I'm simply going to anchor this down with another thread and tie a knot to sort of keep it all secure. So this is another way of working with ribbon and keeping it secure in your work. So I'm just going to take a couple of stitches through both ends of the ribbon and anchor it to the stem that's there, so I'm not going through the fabric, the backing fabric. A little knot and pull it through, and that will hold it in place. So that's the way to make sure you get super value out of your ribbon and use up every last little piece. Okay, let's add that little sort of pale detail at the throat of the flower. So it's got this sort of white patch in the centre with two sort of deeper crimson marks either side and like a vein running through the tongue petal, if you like, if you think of this like a mouth shape, the bottom petal like a tongue, there's a vein, a darker line down the centre of that. And so I'm just using 2 strands of white embroidery floss to do the centre, and then I'll come back in, I'll get some crimson thread. I think I'll just use the crimson thread single. use ordinary PVA glue to glue my page into the book and also to glue down the cuttings that I have. Our local council holds tree planting days from time to time, and this one for Mother's Day was held really close to our home in an area that I love to go walking. And so I was so happy to get the opportunity to be able to honour my grandmother and my mother. And so for Mum, we chose native indigo for its tiny, pretty pink flowers. So delicate and pretty. And I just really wanted to sort of plant something that would come into bloom and make me feel happy as I walk past. It's really nice, I think, to honour our loved ones who have passed with some nature, something that, gives to the world and adds some beauty and just makes the world a better place like they did when they were here. I think a lot of my craftiness was inherited from my mum. She would knit and crochet. She did hobby tex, which was a form of sort of painting on fabric. She'd make soft toys, excellent at costumes, and amazing at paper flowers for Easter hat parades. Thank you so much for joining me on this project today. I'd love to hear about the special plants or flowers that hold meaning for you. Until next time, keep stitching with joy and love and finding calm and beauty in every creation. Happy sewing, everyone.